My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of damn fine podcasts. I sense it coming now.
Tonight's just gonna be a lot of me describing how I felt in the first Matrix sequel.
This is my favorite quote so far on Reddit. This series is the series Star Trek Voyager should have been.
Oh shit, well, save that for the pod, man. Okay.
Also, the 100th reiteration of Lorca's not dead, assholes, said in a Billy Eichner voice.
You will never be able to podcast as good as us. Your tongue is too human.
It's Lorca's dead, I'm gonna kill myself!
Okay, let's...
All right, well, hello, everybody, and welcome to A Discovery Home Companion, your home for podcast companionship in neither a Lorca or a Prairie Home Companion manner.
We didn't realize how fortuitously gross our aping Prairie Home Companion was for the show. We thought two Star Trek, Prairie Home Companion, two nice, placid, solid establishments of America can't be besmirched.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Hey, look. How much you could be proved wrong over the course of 4 months.
My name is Wade Bowen, and you just heard from James Nolan.
Hey, guys.
Yes, and also this other guy, Hugh Crawford.
Hey. Hello.
Hi.
And tonight we're talking about what's past this prologue. It is episode 13 of season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. And real quick, here is the IMDb description. Lorca plans to move forward with a coup against the Emperor, propelling Burnham to make a quick decision to save not only herself, but the USS Discovery. I guess the consensus is that you guys like this episode tonight, right?
I found things to like in this episode. I found things to make me, well...
We're officially at the point where you talk about Star Trek Discovery the way Michael Scott talks about Jan.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a late season Office guy. I don't know.
That's not late season.
That's like season 2. He's...
I figured by the end of it he's with her and he's just like, well, I guess Jan wants to go out.
We don't want to ruin the Office for the uninitiated there, all right?
I don't want to ruin the Office for you, but he's with but I'll ruin it for you. He's with McNulty's wife, Vivian.
Oh, right. Yeah, but let's just talk about what this episode is and then I'll tell you what I like.
Well, okay. So James's prediction that that Michelle Yeoh, that's the first thing that we need to talk about. We need to acknowledge the elephant in the room here is that James's prediction that Michelle Yeoh would be saved came true.
Yep.
Like in his reasoning was
that she would selflessly hold back, and I thought maybe they would kill her, but then I said maybe they won't. But anyway, that there would be some sort of
text. It's in a text. James said that Burnham was going to save her, and that she would come back and it's I have to reiterate that because it was in a text message, group text the three of us have. And I don't think it was said on last week's pod. Was it said on last? Was it said on the? Or because I think we were talking about this like 2 days ago.
She would ally herself with Burnham, and that she would say, "I'll hold them back while you go to freedom."
Right.
What she said, and then at the end,
no, you did say that.
So both hybridized. I got both right.
But when we were hypothesizing, when we were coming up with the logic that James used was. The dumbest possible story solution is what's going to happen. Yes. And, like when we're like, James, that doesn't make sense because, and you're like, no, guys, it's the dumbest thing. The dumbest thing makes sense for the show.
People can attack me for a lot of things that I've said on this podcast, and they can attack me for my general all around negative attitude about this podcast. But you cannot say that I don't get this show. I get it. I get it so hard.
They did. Well, I mean, that's the end, but And
generally, we come out of it given some sort of instinctual things, and I am a lover of many of canon action films. And a sitter through of a lot of heck-yes sci-fi pew-pew action.
Oh, they made pew-pew noises?
They made pew-pew for like 20 minutes. It was like 20 minutes.
It was like straight pew-pew-pew.
Now, guys, this is, by my count, our 4th pilot episode, too. Do you think it's a pretty successful pilot?
This isn't a pilot. This is
a new day. No, okay.
The culmination of what they've been doing
A fourth reboot.
No, that would be at the end of the episode. But yes, they did come to a new starting place again. Yes. I think I'm with some of the people on the Discord. Like, if the people get weird and, in their heads about what we mean by a reboot, yes, the story is still there, but they're restarting yet again, which is what the show's been doing over and over again. Like,
constant reinvention.
well, not even reinventing. It's just starting and stopping its arcs and stories. And that's like, what I can like about this episode is with this episode, not at all what has come before it once again, because the thing that I don't like at all, and I will be the first to like where Star Trek is okay, so just straight off, Lorca is a bad guy. He's been a bad guy the whole time. We've spent 12 episodes now with him, and the whole switcheroo is that he's been evil the whole time. And so he's been in the Prime universe for over a year now, and they're talking about like, oh, this is about the character's growth and everything. He's a character that has learned nothing, has progressed nowhere.
Yeah, and we get to see his full sort of plot, his plan, which is pretty complicated. Yeah. It took several. I mean, you can see the full scope of his complicated plan. It was to go to the Mirror Universe, find Michael Burnham, bring her back, then get on the ship, and then pew, 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 and then win. Well, so, I mean, it's pretty... I mean, you can see why it needed 12 episodes.
His plan wasn't going to go to... He got lucky and made it to the regular Prime universe, because it was just another transporter accident when he was being pursued by the Emperor, and they went through an ion storm and got shot with... phasers while they were going through the ion storm, and also teleporting, and that's how he teleported to the Prime universe, which is basically the same as Mirror Mirror. It kind of cheapens that. It's just a transporter accident.
Well, yeah.
Which is fine. I guess that's happened before, but it was just like, oh, okay.
My favorite part of this particular episode is the scene in the Jeffries tube where Burnham talks to Saru, and they are trading information to how to solve a problem. And then I also like the Stamets Tilly conversations where they were having a conversation on how to solve a problem. And I realized that those are probably 3 minutes of the whole episode where it feels like Star Trek, because you have characters who are working together to solve a problem.
That's what I think. What I liked about this episode is that it was more than 3 minutes. It was every scene on this Discovery as the crew, with maybe their scene was 10 minutes total, but every scene on the Discovery.
Do you think we had more action, or do you think we had more scenes on Discovery solving problems this episode?
Oh, no,
like
I'm talking
minute by minute.
No, we had more action, which is fine, but the action, it was well shot and well done. I mean, the pew pew noises were dumb.
It was clear. I could tell what was going on the screen.
I thought this episode was directed well enough for what they had. It was just a canon action film, and then they had a B plot going on the Discovery that was actually Star Trek.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
very Star Trek B plot, which gives me hope.
Which that's what I liked, and
it's also a Return of the Jedi plot.
It was Die Hard.
No. You have the plan is to attack the center mass of a planet-destroying large apparatus.
Yes.
That's fatal flaw is encapsulated in a shield. You have someone that has to go enact the shield on a solo mission, and then once they do, like it was, then once I figured out, they're doing the Return of the Jedi plot, and then right as they did that is when the next scene where Lorca let it be known that the throne has a Jabba the Hutt hole.
Oh no, it was the moon door from Game of Thrones is what it was.
Yes.
But I mean, you're right. There's a lot you can say. It was also Die Hard though. She was the one in this big building basically all alone, and she had to sneak into the ducts, basically the Jeffries tubes, to call out, and she's talking to, I mean, they talked about this on the After Trek.
This episode would have been so much better if they had the sleazy 80s guy trying to make a deal with Lorca, doing coke and stuff,
and if Burnham had no shoes on.
Yeah, that would have made it so much better. Saru is captain now, and Lorca has that weird conversation where he's like, where he talks to him like he's Dr. Ben Carson, and where he like talks about how much.
You are such an honor to your race.
Yes.
Well, do we want to talk about the events of this episode at all, or?
I guess so. We're trying to gush out all the funny things.
I'm trying to get all this stuff out that I mean, to recap this episode, yeah, we can go back. I mean, the first act, Philippa confronts Lorca as Lorca assembles his crew.
Well, yeah, you see him get out all of his crew out of like he gets everybody out of the botany bay, the botany bay.
Then he gives his big "Make the Empire Glorious Again" speech, which is.
Is this episode? Is that what is? We don't know what Star Trek Discovery is about. I guess it's the Federation and its ideals held up against the Make America Great Again. Xenophobia that's
right. Well, yeah, that's like his whole thing is.
It's rather ham-fisted way to deliver that, don't you think?
I totally agree. Like, I mean, he's mad. The reason apparently that he's been citing revolution against the Emperor is because he's mad because she's been letting all these alien races across the border. And she doesn't have a wall built, and he's mad about all these aliens coming in and just, he says like immigration's basically his thing. And he says,
spilling over our borders. Yeah.
Yeah. So help us make the Empire glorious again.
So yet again, we have a show where the most loved character, the one that's won your heart and soul, is a racist, which I haven't seen 3 billboards, but doesn't everybody like, that's the main complaint on 3 billboards too.
Yes, I have seen 3 billboards. That is my main complaint. Yeah. And he doesn't even win I didn't give 2 shits about that third act.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, we've assumed, and it's all Jason Lorca. I mean, it's all Jason Isaacs being that watchable, like, and us thinking that he's got all this stuff going on and behind his head, like, oh, even if he's like the same stuff I've been complaining about, even if he's mirror universe, maybe he's learned something. Nope.
Oh yeah,
he's been he's just been a black hat this whole time.
But we weren't wrong though that they were going to rehab somebody from the mirror universe. We were just wrong about who. So I mean, the thesis that this show could be about identity and choosing. Burnham getting sitting at a little bit.
But you watch the next on, and I know it's the next on and everything, but they seem to be constructing that Michelle Yeoh is now a cancer within the Federation as well.
Or she's going to be how they win the war.
No, well, because they're saying, it seems to be that she's speaking a more vigilant mirror universe type aggressiveness that is really responded to by Sarek and Jane Brooks. So we may not.
Admiral Cornwell is probably going to take over command of the ship since there's only 20% of the Federation fleet left. She'll probably take over that.
They did show a scene on the after track that's not in the next on, but it's her and Sarek beaming onto the Discovery because they think Lorca's on the ship, so it's her beaming over and having command override and taking over and saying, command override, Admiral Cornwell, blah blah blah, Sigma, blah blank blank blank, and she gets control of the ship because, like, obviously, if she realized after she had sex with him that he's a bad dude,
and then after 9 months of getting annihilated. Still, she's gonna close those cases, but I get it. I mean, I get it. That's the last time we saw her, so we're good.
Right.
But I do think
I didn't even think about that. What if 9 months? What if she's had his baby since then?
Oh, I don't want anything to do with that.
I don't know.
That is one of the dumbest things, so we have to put it on the board.
Right, we have to think about...
Do we not think that Michelle Yeoh is now going to, she still has to defeat Michelle Yeoh?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, like what you said before. She's going to have to make a choice again.
So we still have got Vok on the table too, and Laurel. It's like, I like how...
I'm sorry, who did you say?
Yeah, Ash Tyler.
Wait, what?
Clem
Wait,
Fandango,
I don't remember him.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. He wasn't important in this episode.
I don't remember him. When was the last time we saw him?
Lorca had a sleeper agent who could have fucked up his shit at any moment and totally derailed his plans the whole time. And he never really had to worry about that. Like, it was, he had the easiest, maybe I believe in fate too. Maybe Destiny's real. Because that time bomb, did it go off to mess his plans up?
I love
Right.
that. I love
It
that
went-
they also developed this whole episode thing yesterday where they start developing this concept of a doppelganger for Stamets, and then just kill him quickly.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, that's what I wanted.
just
Yeah,
kill
so
him.
Lorca and Rekha Sharma go in, and he's hiding in his quarters
His
behind
lab.
what is ostensibly a cloaking shield.
Invisibility cloak. He got it from Dumbledore.
Right, exactly. But when I guess a visibility cloak is different than a cloaking shield for a ship. Sure, fine, whatever. But but again, it's like, well, wait a minute. I guess cloaks aren't that hard. But whatever.
I imagine
so-
that was just a changing screen that you just walk behind to get naked.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the mirrors when they set up the mirrors and all that they've had before, where it's just a screen. It's a hologram projection over the wall. It looks like a wall. We learned in this episode that the big sun in the center of the ship is a mycelial network orb thing that.
Oh man,
He-
and we got
he
this big old
created-
climate change mumbo jumbo
Right.
out of this,
Yep.
didn't we?
Oh, I didn't even put together it as climate change. It was just
They put their hands on their hips and were like, "Can you imagine a society that wouldn't take care of their shit? Can you imagine that?" And then they all look at the camera with their Jim from The Office face.
I agree that that's a comparison to be made, but I'm saying there's plenty of things that yes, it's a comparison, but it's not a 1-to-1. Even as much as I was when I was watching this and bitching about the make the Empire glorious again.
I want to say that when they said that they always think, it's such hubris to think they will always be able to fix it later. And then it was like they almost like looked at the camera and did like an Michelle Obama nod, like, and then like moved on. I did feel it was sassy. It was a little sassy.
It was definitely it's definitely a heavy-handed thing. I think it's just because you can make comparisons, and even if they had them in mind.
I don't know why that rubs you the wrong way.
metaphor.
That idea that the writers would do an allegory like that when that's like the one Star Trek thing.
especially in the episode where they openly made Lorca Trump in an inexcusable way.
That's what I was just trying to say when I was watching the episode, and I was bitching about making him Trump. And my girlfriend said, chill out. Yes, that's there, but it's not, it doesn't have to be everything about it. And it's like, it's
What else is
fine.
there?
It's,
What else is there?
Oh my god!
Like
I bet you
a-
the Pepes are pissed about this episode.
right. Well, what is there is that he's like a power hungry asshole. And yes. And yeah. And in the make of the Empire glorious again is pretty basic.
And complaining
Trumped.
about letting aliens in over the border.
I know. I
and-
made all these points. And you're right. But I'm just saying that you can write that. They can do that kind of stuff and throw it in there. And I think it's heavy-handed, yes. But it can also just
What is your feeling? Your feeling is that it's heavy-handed.
yes.
And
But
it's my feeling that it's heavy-handed, and it's Wade Hughes' feeling that it's heavy-handed.
All the mycelial network stuff never bothered me this whole time, and it didn't even
Oh, yeah.
bother me today. I just noticed it.
here's what it is. I was freaking out and saying, "Oh my god, they just turned him into Trump." And my girlfriend was like, "Just calm down. Yes, they did that, but don't. It doesn't have to be all they did with it too."
That
And
really
I'm
is
like,
all,
okay,
but that really
fine.
is all they've done with him. But
Oh,
no, I
he's
can
just a
argue that.
black hat. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay. So here's my argument: messaging, allegory. It's kind of like flirting with a woman. It's a seduction, and if you get caught doing it, if
Are
you're
you saying
heavy-handed,
time's up for this allegory, James?
Yeah. if you get caught doing it, if you get caught like giving a line, it's crass, it's unsexy, it's not cool, it's shitty writing. Like obviously stories have allegories. If you read Lord of the Rings as this reference to World War I, that's fine.
The thing that Tolkien fought over and over again was people making it into an allegory.
I know he fought it making like an interesting like way to express it in the world, and it's a subtle thing. Like he's wrong, but to also just do like the way they made fun of Harry Crane's Star Trek script in Mad Men about the Negron complex. I mean, like
Oh yeah,
you
Yes.
can't do that
Yes.
either.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just that they got caught flirting, and you can't do that.
It occurred to me that they're talking about resources and that the fact that the Terrans would use stuff up and not think about the long-term sustainability. That totally rang. I saw what they were doing.
Here's the thing: they made the bad guy Trump.
But it's also not a 1-to-1 to make him Trump because Trump is a lot dumber.
Lorca was pretty dumb.
He was on the dumb thing about it was his weird fascination with Burnham, but he's not dumb in that he played everybody like a fool. And
he
it's
gave
like
a speech about how hard he was holding the sword. It's a supervillain. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's dumb and heavy-handed. I'm just saying
There's 5 articles up published about how like happy the writers' crew is that they that they owned Trump in this episode. Like, so it is a 1-to-1.
we're talking about two different things. Like we were just talking about climate change, and now we're talking about the Trump again.
Well, you've said both were not
But they're
1-to-1.
connected because Trump doesn't believe in. Trump doesn't even believe climate change. That's like that's one of his famous things. Right. But to switch gears just a little bit, but they're still sort of related. If the writers of the show were so pleased with themselves about their allegories and about the themes that they're working with, which here's the 3 of us who are sympathetic to these themes, and probably, I mean, we all are going to vote the same as this writers' room in the future, and we voted the same as them in the past. They're a little bit smug about preaching to the choir. If this was on regular over-the-air TV, they're more likely to get somebody who's not paying $8 a month for it. You know, if they had it on CBS proper, where some old baby boomer, puts in their teeth and watches their Star Trek, they might actually get to an audience that it could affect.
I agree with y'all about all this stuff. I'm just saying, my whole point was just like, we can just.
But wait, do we not agree that it is to the detriment of the show to be so crass about its allegories? Okay,
yes.
So we're making the same point.
Yeah, they could be a little more subtle than make the Empire glorious again, and
you didn't, and that's fine. But 2 of us found the mycelial network conversation a little heavy-handed in the same way, towards the same point.
But it was like, oh, that's a good lesson. It's less heavy-handed to just tell a story about resources and fucking about.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was typical liberals who were assuming that the Mirror Universe people knew what they were doing and assuming they were choosing to do wrong. Maybe that was a more of a flaw in on the Federation side.
I will agree it's a flaw that the Mirror people are just like. I mean, that's what I'm saying with the Lorca. He's just a big bad that doesn't learn anything.
But that's what all the Mirror I mean, other than Spock. In the first Mirror universe, they probably never meant to go back to the goddamn universe again, story-wise in the franchise, because Spock at the end of it, evil Spock isn't evil anymore, and he spreads hope, right? And that's supposed to be the beginning and end of this stupid story. Imagine if they went to the city, if they saved Joan Collins in every single goddamn franchise on the City of Edge of Tomorrow.
Has to go back to the Joan Collins universe, and
well, I'm just saying, we would get a little bit tired of that too. I mean, she's not supposed to. If you're gonna have things have lasting ramifications, they have lasting ramifications. Otherwise, none of this really means anything.
That's my whole problem with the Lorca character. We're supposed to be living with characters and see them grow and change, and he hasn't. And that
was Major Kira when she was all in the pleather and all sweaty and wiggling all over Terra Nor.
We can talk about
she never grew. She never. I mean, that's a problem, an inherent problem with having Mirror Universe people as your bad guys. Is what I'm saying.
We can talk about this now. The show, the whole first season, is built around a character that is the dumbest thing ever. Outside of the actor's personal magnetism and his
is this why it took so? Is this why they rewrote it so much? Is this why they expanded
I don't know.
it? Because they had such a hard on to tell this allegory, and as stuff changed in real life, it kept on getting pushed back and changed.
I guess, but you could have told this story as an allegory and making him about Trump or something. You could have done that. You could have done that better.
You could have also done that in a good 2-parter.
But I'm saying we were supposed to have it premiere in January of 2017, and then about the time Trump won, they pushed it back 9 months. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I think that we would be astonished by how much was probably thrown out and how much came together at the last minute.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
there's good ways to tell so many different stories.
You think Michelle Yeoh was a Hillary allegory, and then they had to throw it out once Trump won?
I doubt it. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I think better at Brian Fuller than at whatever he had planned.
We also know that he didn't get his way on so much of this.
Oh yeah, well yeah, they kicked him off the show. They spent all this time with Lorca and decided to make him a character that does not grow at all.
No, he's a time bomb. That was our complaint, is that we have time bomb characters that don't really mean anything.
I mean, I guess we've had 3 time bombs. We weren't 100% sure that Lorca was an empty time bomb.
But he wasn't set. But my thing is, they didn't have to do this, and
they haven't done any of this dumb shit. The Vox storyline is basically nothing. Unless he's somehow going to fix the problem, but I don't.
I mean, he could be the key to fixing the Klingon war, though. I think.
Yeah,
but that's a key. But that's a key, not a character. L'Oreal's probably. L'Oreal seems to be playing as an actual character, but yeah, I don't. I mean, so this isn't interesting, and not only that, but he didn't get away. Like he can't come back like Khan did in the show. He can't come back in season 3. Oh, come on, don't do that.
I saw him disintegrate.
He disintegrated and went into the mycelial
anything you're about to
plane.
say is going to make the show worse.
Oh, I agree.
So
I'm
then
just
fuck
saying.
it. So then, if he comes back, I ain't gonna see it because that sounds fucking stupid. I ain't gonna watch it. But
that's what I'm saying. If
I see what
enough,
Wade's saying. That they can bring him back in the mycelial network.
I get what you're saying, but that is fucking fuck the show. Like, life is too short. I'm an old man.
Death is coming for us all.
Death is coming for us all, and there's things that I haven't seen. I just got a movie pass, so I don't have to pay to see movies anymore.
All right. I just want to talk about this episode. That's all I want to talk about.
Okay.
Right. They give her a fucking castle.
But you keep saying that this is a sequential show, so it's impossible to talk about the show without talking about the overarching storylines.
No, it's very possible to talk about it, and then we can talk about the sequential show. I want to talk about all the dumb stuff.
He wants to get through it. Yeah, right.
Oh, the pew pews. We gotta get to the pew pews.
We got the pew pews. We gave him like by the power of Grayskull sword is what it's a fucking He-Man sword. That's what they gave the Emperor.
I mean, we did get to see Michelle Yao did get to do some cool action stuff.
If I'm watching this episode as an episode and taking it out of context from all the dumb stuff they did with Lorca, if I just accept, here's an episode where they fight a big bad guy. It's a well-done action-y, pew-pew action movie episode where that stuff happens. And I hate all the Lorca stuff. Hate it so much. But from just an action movie...
I don't mind anybody saying that they had a good time watching the action. That's fine with me. My personal feeling is like James, I have a movie pass and I could see dumb, mindless shoot 'em ups any weekend I want. Like, this was just fine. It was just fine.
This show promised me Star Trek.
Yes, but we have a podcast about this. We're going to talk I got all the dumb fighting and all that stuff. That we got. This is the most Michelle Yao fighting.
It was a smart. Yeah, it was. That was good. I mean, it was cool to see her do some cool kicks and stuff.
I loved all the stuff on the Discovery. That's where I was like, this. It was like, oh, fine. Like, I mean, and the show will say this. They'll say, oh, now we can be Star Trek because we've had Lorca holding us down the whole time.
Sure.
They kind of said that on the After Trek even. It's like, well, then, motherfuckers, why didn't you just get rid of him early on? Because I thought Doug Jones and the Saru stuff in this,
Wait. On the After Track, they said that we don't have Lorca holding us down anymore?
They had Jason Isaacs talking on Skype. He was like, everybody's been complaining about, how this show and Lorca is a bad Starfleet captain and doesn't do what Star Trek does, and they're mad. And he's like, ha, 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 see? But it's because I was evil this whole time. And now that and it's like I was holding it back. That's why you weren't getting that, because I was the captain and I was not of that. But in this episode, once they got rid of him, this episode proved to me that I could watch a Captain Saru season, because and it was Space Friends solving space problems.
Yeah, I like that. I like those scenes. Those were strong.
Everybody on the bridge, like that we complained about the bridge crew not seeing enough of, they got to do stuff.
And they used their names quite a bit too.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They had dialogue and they could talk
Right.
back and forth. They
Right.
seemed to express some semblance of agency. You're right. I mean, I guess. Yeah. Thank you. After 13 episodes.
And $40 worth of subscriptions.
He's like, oh, we didn't get to see the bridge crew because this show was about them coming together in their Starfleet ways and being Starfleetish, and we didn't get to see that because they were divided at the beginning. And I was like, motherfucker, didn't show them being divided. You didn't show them. You just showed them on cameos.
So are we? So we're finally at the end of Prologue 2 of Star Trek
Yeah.
Discovery. I'm gonna cite everybody back to my hitting yourself in the hammer analogy. Like when you say, "Hey, so now we don't have to do that anymore. Isn't it great?" Everybody that's been complaining. It's like, oh, they've stopped hitting me in the head with the grimdark hammer.
I don't
Happy
care.
day.
I don't care what they stopped doing. I'm caring about what they're doing now. Like, it's not just sitting me with a hammer.
That's big of you. That's big of
Well,
you.
yeah, what the fuck? I'm watching the show. Why should I not like decide to enjoy it?
Well, because you can choose to enjoy. It's like a relationship. You can choose to enjoy other relationships. I haven't been enjoying this relationship, but now we can say she stopped doing some of the more annoying things that bothered me for all those times I complained about it. But now they've stopped.
That was my point. Yeah.
No, I'm saying fuck you. I'll go get someone that I'm not miserable with. I don't have a track record of being miserable with.
I think that's the great.
Well,
the great-
you got to stick with this relationship for 2 more episodes, though.
Oh,
buddy.
I know.
We got a podcast to do.
I'll be here. I'll be here and I'll have time.
And who knows when this break? We don't know how this bitch will end. So when this finale is over, and depending on how we're feeling, we might feel like we need a taste of season 2.
Dude, do you know at this point what they could do? The last episode, after to replace Captain Lorca, we've brought on Captain Ian McShane, and then I'll be like, motherfucker, like, god damn it, gotta watch this show now.
Oh yeah.
That would be break out the peaches. We gotta watch out. Yeah.
They thought that Jason Lorca was smart and devious, and they set him up in the world of the show as being smart and devious, but he's still a dumbass when it comes to Burnham because he thinks that she's going to be not. He thinks for some reason that she's, when he explains, but the Federation is stupid, she's going to go, oh, you're right, it is, and go his way, like, because she mutinied against Michelle Yeoh. And I was like, well, that is dumb. Like, you spent 12 episodes with her.
But he did turn.
You should have learned something, but he didn't learn anything.
He turned Prime Universe Landry, Rakesh Sharma. He turned Prime Universe her, so he thought he could just pimp out and do the same thing with his.
Yeah, but he was so impressed with Burnham because she was more special than anybody he'd ever met, even Mirror Universe Burnham. And I was like, that's cool and all because she's the star of this show, but I don't know where you got that from. Like, she's fine, but she ain't all that, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. Like, but because she's the star of the show, she's got to be all that.
I know. I was really uncomfortable when she gave herself up to him, and then she goes, "You can have me. You can have my mind." She didn't say it as, I guess, as opposed to her pussy, but like,
that was the you can't have my body.
And then he had to make that little. Like he had to make that little Todd Packer face.
He made that face, and then he made that comment about what, until you get settled, as if like I'll eventually have the other part too. Just give me enough time.
I weigh you down as I always do.
What a crazy man.
At least he didn't force kiss her. I did think that they would go there, and he didn't do that.
Oh, you did say that was going to happen.
Just because they didn't have time to block it. Like,
yeah. And then she sneaks in. She lets down the force field on the moon of Endor, or whatever. They go in. They think they're going to die, but they figure out how to blow up the mycelial sun or whatever. And then they go, and then they ride a surfboard, mycelial wave through time and space, and Stamets can't do it, but he remembers his boyfriend who said find the forest, and the song plays, and that guides him through it.
Use the force, Paul. Use the force.
Right. And then, but was it, I don't know, maybe to me, when, or tell me if y'all had similar thoughts when they said, "Oh, we've landed in the Alpha Quadrant, our Alpha Quadrant, but we don't know when." Did part of you just hope to God they said 200 years from now? It's like, now's their chance. Oh, this would be so great. And then
I was worried they were talking about backwards. That he said we overshot he said we overshot by 9 months, but like
an actual Obama would have to help him.
Yeah.
Captain Obama. They just make him the captain.
They pull him on like they did Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He would actually not even be the first president to help out a Star Trek crew.
Nope.
Right. I was like, oh, I know you're not going to do it, but please just tell me you go post Nemesis with it. Please. And
well, I thought they were going to,
I
thought the time, the missing, check where we are and when. I was like, oh no, hopefully they don't go back in time and to help to undo all this mess is what I was worried about.
Which is what they have to do.
Oh, you think they're going to do time travel shenanigans?
Well, I mean, I think that they either, I don't know.
Well, let's stop and think about what the stupidest thing is. What's the stupidest thing?
Well, the stupidest thing is at this point, they're coming dangerously close to actually affecting major chunks of TOS continuity. Because it's not like in TOS at the beginning of at the beginning of TOS 8 years ago, 80% of the Starfleet wasn't wiped out. That's a catastrophic. That's like bigger than the Black Death. If 80% of Starfleet's officers, military installations, territory were wiped out by Klingon conquest, that is an immense devastation that can't go unremarked upon for.
It?
Yes, it can, but it can't without making me want to punch it. So it seems to me that I think we're getting T'Kuvma back and Vok back.
I mean, we'll definitely get some Vok and L'Orelle shit going on, but I think that
it seems I'm saying that this show is this show's pulling a circle. It's crunching back in on itself. So you have Michelle Yeoh back. You have Rekha Sharma came back and had almost as much screen time.
She died
I know,
again.
but she had almost as much screen time as she did the first time. So you can crunch itself back more because you've already introduced time shenanigans. So they get to the point where they realize that it's a lost cause. They probably take extreme measures. Michelle, I'm gonna predict. I don't know. I'm just at this point. Yeah, I think that they've got to go back and somehow she's got to make a deal.
Michael, we've got to go back.
And she's got to somehow make.
It's your parents, Michael.
She's got to convert T'Kuvma over to social justice.
Well,
I think that's what she's got to do.
Or were you upset by the amount of social justice we had this?
No. I mean, I'm with the social justice. I'm with this, but I think that she's going to go back and give some sort of peace, love, and harmony speech to T'Kuvma at the Battle of the Binary Stars. The last episode is called "Will You Take My Hand?" I bet she says that to T'Kuvma with Vok but Vok doesn't have the power.
Oh, you're saying that you suspect some time travel shenanigans.
Yes.
But even if you go back in time travel, that means you have to face Lorca again.
That's just my thinking. Is that the episode now that they're really got a hard on for symmetry.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna nix it because I think the Lorca thing is too glaring that they would have to
Well, maybe they could go back. Maybe it fixes the timeline all over again, and then maybe you have this cute little scene where the Baran warps into the timeline and then there's a bunch of Federation ships there to stop it and catch it because they know he's going to be there. But no, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not predicting this stuff. I'm just saying that at this point, all I'm saying is that they can't, the idea that 80% of Federation of the Starfleet and the Federation was wiped out cannot stand because it makes no sense that they would be built back to their strength that you see in TOS in 8 years. Also,
I think you're overthinking it now because I don't think they thought it out. That they're like, oh, we can have holograms, and there's enough. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
they'll do
this
some
shows shit on continuity so much that it doesn't. I really believe.
I mean,
they'll-
that's such a ridiculous concept.
Really? How about giving Spock a sister over
yeah.
60 years of continuity, 50 years of
But
continuity?
that's in the
and
gaps.
never
That's
talking
sticking
about
it in,
her.
but that's sticking it in the gaps. You can't stick like.
Well, this is a 10-year gap. Nobody they didn't.
We go back and visit Spock's family over two TOS episodes, and they go back in the first movie, The Vulcan. I mean, Spock and his family.
Okay, I'm sorry,
have
it's an
popped up.
8-year, 6-year gap,
Yeah.
but it's still a gap. Like,
Maybe I don't know.
I don't think they're that protective of
I
continuity.
really think they don't
I think
give a
we've seen
shit
that
about
much.
continuity.
I think they're fine. I think they're really into symmetry too, and so I'm wondering about.
Maybe
I don't think they're that into symmetry because none of this other shit has been like symmetrical at all. This is the 13th episode. This is like,
What do you mean?
We've
What do you
sp-
mean?
yeah.
We've got.
I mean, you're right. If the first 2 episodes didn't have Lorca in
Yep.
it, the last 2 don't have Lorca.
Yep.
Oh, it's Star Wars circle theory
Yeah,
all over
yep.
again. It's
I
like
can
the
do this.
prequels.
Yeah, no, I can do this. Like the yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh shit.
Yep.
Circle theory.
I don't know if there's
bet-
time.
but I
if
don't-
you time
I don't
travel,
think
then you
they're
have
gonna
2
go-
Michelle Yaos.
What are you gonna? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
about
Maybe I'm
that either.
saying that maybe they poke in and then go back or something, and she wakes up like at the end of Days of Future Pants and everything's back
There's
to
going to
normal.
be a fight. There's going to be a fight with Michelle Yao and some Klingons, and Michael Burnham's going to have to make a decision again.
and whoa,
Because-
got it,
So they're letting because Michelle in the next on Michelle Yao is talking about how you need to be ruthless and stuff. And so they're going to let her take the fight again to the Klingons, and Michael Burnham's going to have to decide whether or not to mutiny again.
Yeah, but I also think that she's going to have to go back. She's going to have a limited amount of time. And then she's got a limited amount of time to change the course of the Klingon invasion. So she's got to start it from that impetus moment. So we're going to go back to the Battle of the Binary Stars.
yeah,
So she's got to get
yeah,
on
it's
the
still not
ship and
sold.
she's going to have to she's got a limited amount of time and then she gets sucked back into the future.
And she has to avoid herself and play
Maybe,
while she's
maybe.
playing Johnny Be Good on
But
the
it's
guitar.
gonna end with her, and I guess it's gonna end with her and Ash Tyler, who's now temperamentally Ash Tyler, but still has Vok in him, like is over his shoulder, like Firestorm from Firestorm from DC
Okay.
Comics, and then he's gonna talk. But he's gonna use Valk's knowledge plus her is going to make Takuvma make an action, and so she said, just don't fire on this today. Don't do this today. And then she's gonna disappear. She's gonna go back, and there's gonna be a black flash of black light, and she's gonna have a dream about reading Alice in Wonderland, and then she's gonna wake up. And it's gonna be different, and she's gonna be in a different
Oh my
room.
God, Alice
And
in Wonderland.
and she's gonna wake up, and she's gonna be in a different room,
shit.
and then she's gonna walk around, and she's gonna go out there, and it's gonna be Saru that says hello, and she goes hello, Saru, and he says hello, Captain Burnham, welcome. Are you ready to take the Discovery on this mission? And she's gonna have woken up, and that would be the command that Michelle Yao moved her to. Because Michelle Yao didn't die, and the Battle of the Binary Stars didn't happen. So now,
And then she's gonna go, Michael, where we're going, we don't need.
that's what she
roads."
says.
And-
She looks out at her window, and she's got the truck she's always wanted, the big
Which is the
4x4 that
Discovery.
she's always wanted. Yes,
Yeah.
So, and she's
Oh,
gonna go.
man.
It worked. It's Back to the Future.
No.
It's Days of Future Past. Jean Grey, you're still alive.
Oh,
It's
you
all
know
of
what?
those
This makes
things.
more sense politically because you can't have her mutiny is still something that hangs over everything. Like,
Yes.
she can't go forward with her career because she's supposed
She
to do life. She's
tempor-
supposed to do life in prison. She
says she can't,
she
though?
shot a man in
Temporally
Rio just to
atones
watch
for
him
it.
die. She cannot just.
Yes.
Go to clean the toilets on a starship for the rest of her life. She's got to do hard time when this is all over.
Yes.
Does she though? Star Trek has never been that serious about making people serve their sentences
That's
out.
the easiest, dumbest answer. At this point, I'm now convinced that this is the easiest, dumbest answer is to erase it from the timeline.
And the Alice in Wonderland thing, they're so attached to that shit. That's what gets me because
They were in the first like third of the season. And I feel like they forgot.
They're coming back, man. They're coming back. They brought the eyes back after not mentioning it for 8 episodes. They brought the eyes back.
The what?
The
Lorca's
eyes, light sensitivity.
And they brought his eyes back after not mentioning it for 8 minutes.
They brought it. That was that. No, I don't think
a lot of moving parts.
They brought that back just as a dumb. Mirror universe.
I am now.
I think you're giving them too much credit.
I think that
this is very creative. This is very creative, though. It's almost too creative for them, James.
It's dumb. It's pretty dumb. I think it's pretty dumb. But
I think
man, I don't know.
I think you're putting more thought into this. I think they're just riding from one point to another.
The one last question. Okay, so they keep saying that they're answering all our questions, and maybe they are. And so one of the reasons that
they're just a second, real quick. These goddamn people are so pleased with themselves as puppet masters rather as storytellers, and their whole smug fucking attitude about everything is what gets under my skin more than anything.
It's creative writing class attitude. They are very immature writers, I would say. But I think that maybe, but also wanting to make it a big grand story and taking it all back. You have Michelle Yeoh back now, so you're back into the mining the Michelle Yeoh parts of the emotional parts of the story. So you just go back. So one big glaring question is, why do they spend 2 fucking hours on Takuba and then fucking trash can him? And then why do they spend so much goddamn time on Vok? And
because they fired Brian Fuller and they were working off his art.
But I'm saying maybe they try to actually do what I've wanted them to do, which is to actually make a coherent story out of all of these elements. And so maybe that's what they do.
I think you're giving them too much credit now. My whole point is that they haven't been able to make any coherent stories play out over the season. I don't think they're going to start.
You positively argue for every little battle. I'm arguing that they could have some sort of coherent, positive. They could have some sort of coherent.
I've watched 13 episodes where they haven't had any coherence. Why should I expect it now?
Because at the end,
I feel like I'm turning this is the thing you've been saying to me.
No, I think that giving her. Wait. I think that giving her emotional closure with Yeoh is them tying off a knot, and I think that
I agree that, but I don't think they're going to go space time.
They've already time jumped. How many shows have you watched with just one time jump?
Well, just this one.
Well, I mean, it just ended. It just ended. I'm just saying there's 2 more episodes. Yeah. I'm saying every time where time travel is involved, there's always 2 time jumps.
I don't know to take you at your word for that. Off the top of my
Interstellar,
head,
but I don't think they're going to use the scientific rigorousness of Interstellar.
If they were gonna time loop, they do that to bring Michelle Yeoh back. They did that by stealing the Mirror Universe version of her. They're not going to do both.
I'm saying that they just time jump. They have the ability to do it one more time, and that would be to stop. You're going to find out how's the way to win the war against the Klingons. The only way to win the war against the Klingons at this point is to stop it, is to kill the war in its crib, to let her go back. Like therapy. And I'm sure every one of these writers loves therapy. You go back to the inciting incident that's giving you disquiet, and you go back and you rework it, at least mentally and emotionally. They're going to give her that opportunity through time jumping. It also solves the Klingon War.
I think you're overthinking this way too much. It feels like right now we're getting into conspiracy theories of what they think are.
My predictions have come so correct that I'm becoming like megalomaniacal.
I think you've gone mad with power. I'm becoming
megalomaniacal with my predictions
because we spent like 20 minutes talking about your weird time loop theory.
You know what? But let me say this about James and his theories real quick. He is bad. He's literally batting 1,000 with these. I mean, so is Wade. Really. I mean, his preseason, everything Wade said was coming true. James has lately called that he's batting 1,000 lately. He could hang it up. He could sit on the bench for the last, and he's choosing to go out into the batter's box and take these big cuts when he knows it could fuck up his average. That's sort of admirable.
I feel like I am in tune with these writers. I know we don't watch this show together in the same room. But I know from scene to scene, from moment to moment, what's about to happen next.
Well, I think we all do.
I know, but
scene to scene.
But there we go.
But this is not scene to scene. This is episode.
I gotta admit, I didn't know there was going to be so much Space Friends in this one.
That was true. That was
I actually didn't either. I was pleasant. That's where I was pleasantly
once
surprised.
Once they had him give the Independence Day speech, Saru give the Independence Day speech.
Oh, that was a great speech, man.
It was
So
a
was the
good
Independence Day speech. I'm saying it's great.
Yeah.
Once he had him give that speech, then I was like, okay, they're gonna be leaning. They're gonna do it.
He's just thinking about getting naked with Sally Hawkins that whole time he's having to deliver that.
When they go to the bridge crew, what I didn't expect and what I did love, and legitimately and not ironically, I'm telling you this, when they started doing the pyrotechnics on the bridge, I was like, oh, this is like when they were like literally, I think they were doing the sideways dives, weren't they? Like when they were taking it on in the mycelial warp
yes.
nipple.
Yes.
And then the fireworks, and then they had sparks coming out of the walls, and I was like, okay, this is the shit. I've been saying that I want this show to like stroke a little bit of nostalgia for me, and that did it.
Yeah,
You could do it in some of the ways that make sense. Like that makes sense. Earlier in the season, when they were escaping from the prison and they had the two-fisted chop or whatever, that was a good one.
Oh yeah, he did the double-fisted punch.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean that kind of stuff is
yeah.
that kind of stuff is that's how subtle you do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the level that I think you need to operate.
Did this episode? I mean, I think that this episode probably worked. Like it didn't make. Like I thought this.
That's what I'm saying.
There was more dumb
it's like
fun.
The plot
there was more dumb fun.
Was dumb
fun. Yeah.
From what they set up, but like in a just a 45-minute episode alone by itself, I thought this worked. It was good action. It was dumb. Maybe not the Star Trek we want, but it was dumb action, but good, well done, and pew pew. And then the pew pews.
They had it was dumb fun. It had a lot of pew pews. And
this was the most galaxy fight. This was a pretty galaxy fight.
It was the most
episode.
galaxy fight it ever got, but it was because it was completely shredded of all subtext. Even when they have that boardroom scene between her and Philippa, like they don't even really talk about anything that deep or revealing about each other at all. Like, what did they talk about? Like talked about space fighting and galaxy fighting.
Right. She had Burnham's little badge.
Yeah,
that we
symmetry, more symmetry.
That's right out of like a Rambo movie. Come on,
Yes,
that could have been.
Yeah.
That could have been in those what are those new Stallone movies with Dolph Lundgren with all of them?
Expendable could have been
the
an Expendables.
Yes, that was right out of an Expendables movie.
Let me have a little quick comment on the golden age of TV and action, because I feel like this is what they so desperately want to be a part of that conversation. The action in this was elevated by Michelle Yeoh's presence. I wouldn't be surprised to find out she choreographed the whole damn thing. I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised if she did much of the heavy lifting. But however, whenever I watch, especially some of these later seasons of stuff like Game of Thrones, which is just notorious for its action and violence, there is a visceral quality to it that hits you like on an unsuspecting level. And that was not here with this. This was canon level Michael Bay action. This wasn't elevated stuff that we were seeing action wise.
For the fight scene was it was like an
this
extended
wasn't Battle of the Bastards is what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm just talking.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compare it against other golden, like what it's aspiring to be. It's still hitting the mark what it wants to be. It's still missing the mark of what it wants to be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know that they were trying to do Battle of the Bastards. It felt like the director was like, "We're just gonna have a badass kung fu
at this point
scene."
At this point in Game of Thrones,
it didn't.
You have your big action episode at this at like this point in every game. It's like they're following the.
Oh, I get it, but it's just like, I mean,
I definitely think they wanted this when people talk about this particular episode. I think they want people to talk about it like it's
the fight scenes. Were amazing.
Those.
I thought the fights. Well, I'm just saying. My point. All I'm saying is like this is the best fighting that we've seen in Discovery.
That's fine, but you get Hugh's point that I mean, if this show wants to be so desperately compared to Game of Thrones, let's compare. Let's compare it to Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it has a comparable budget to Game of Thrones,
right?
And it's
the reason the
asking
Battle
me
of the
to pay
Bastards
exclusively for. I mean, there are some people who only pay $15 a month for HBO and don't watch anything but the Game of Thrones.
What I'm saying, the Battle of the Bastards paid off so well because of what led up to it. This didn't have any of that lead up because they're just like, oh, by the way,
I think
he's
if
a bad
you
guy.
just saw the Battle of the Bastards and you had no emotional attachment, it was pretty fucking visceral, like action.
Yeah,
I mean that was
it was, and this
you.
I'm not arguing this is as good as the Battle of the Bastards, but I'm just saying this is the most visceral action that I've gotten on this show.
Oh, I think my eyes glazed over like it was The Matrix 2, like where it was just like watching pew. I mean, you guys called that a canon film, pew pew. It wasn't nearly on the level.
Well, the pew pew. I'm just talking about the sound effects.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that as a package, it wasn't visceral for me at all. It was just you could watch it with a certain amount of detachment and not get sucked in.
We're going on pretty long here, but I could go on for a while about the pew pew scene and how video games have warped how we shoot certain types of action. And I think that was it was a very Gears of War that sequence. And how it was blocked because there was a shield, pew pew. But you have to see, I equip my XX2 blaster and I seek cover alongst this buttress. But then I wait for the pew pew pew. I gotta catch the pew 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 pattern. But once it stops its pattern, then I come out and take 2 shots at the turret. And once that's there, I know that I've got to. It's very XCOM or
on the other side of that,
or Mass Effect.
Mass Effect,
you're right.
Probably, yeah.
And it might not be for the best as a result because because I'm going to tell you something right now. One of the movies that I saw with my movie pass was The Post, and The Post. I know.
Did they have a great pew pew scene in The Post?
Tell me about the corridor fight scenes in The Post.
They had a great. They had a great pew pew scene. Yeah, it opened up. It opened up like I jokingly said, but in all sincerity, it opened up with a Vietnam scene with Creedence Clearwater Revival music blaring in the background.
Please tell me it's not Fortunate Son. It's not Fortunate Son though, is it?
It's not Fortunate Son. Come on, this is Spielberg. It's Green River. Come on. This is come on, James. Get your head out of your ass. No, but when they dialed the fader down and they cut to the night scene where the embedded person is the embedded writer is for the Pentagon is going through the force, and they had a fight scene. It was a very visceral scene that puts you in the middle. The way Spielberg shoots it, where you're sympathetic, like you feel like you're actually there, and he's very good at building tension and shooting action, but also keeping it like realistic. Which is obviously not what I want from Star Trek. I don't want to be realistic. But my point is that it made me feel like I wish that I was watching a Vietnam movie rather than a talking in a newsroom movie because then it cut to later on.
Then they were talking about their IP shares for 20 minutes.
Right, right, and it just was a reminder of how you can use action to suck you into a story emotionally. And I definitely felt a little bit detached after a few minutes of just pew pew standing in the corridor, stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I felt detached because I didn't give a shit about Lorca anymore. But my whole point was just I thought that this was a well choreographed and directed episode 4, despite the fact, but I was kind of checked out because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell. The thing about the action is I could tell everything that was going on.
It just occurred to me about they're going to go back to the past and fix it with the Kuvma, is that we don't have a Klingon to talk. Like there is no face of the enemy anymore. Oh, yeah. So L'Rell has nothing to do with the massive expansion of the Klingon Empire over the last 9 months. So she can't do anything. She was also persona non grata right when they got her. So they don't have anyone to converse with. But it makes sense to go back in time to converse with the Klingons we already spent an inexplicable amount of time with for no reason. So as to have set us up before. I'm big on this. I think they're going to go back and they're going to fix it with T'Kuvma. She's going to handle the Battle of the Binary Stars differently.
Okay.
She will come to the need to do that at the end of next week, and the last episode will be about executing that. That's my current theory.
But then what do they do with the mirror Georgia that they have, and they go back and just retcon, and none of the season happened?
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It all gets wiped out.
So you're saying they retcon everything that happened this season except for the first 2 episodes?
I'm saying they go back in the past to change the past, and it changes the future.
So yes, you're saying they retcon this whole season.
Yes. That she wakes up and she has, by rights, been matriculated to be the captain of Discovery. She remembers.
I get it.
She remembers.
You've been reading The Lathe of Heaven too much, James. You're talking about psychoanalysis.
You get to bring back Wilson Cruz. You get to bring back Rekha Sharma, which now she's weird.
Okay, so you're saying she dreamed she's been in the Lathe of Heaven and she's dreamed it all, and it all gets retconned.
I'm saying that she will say, Takuba, I need you to make the decision, and then she will evaporate because she's only got so much time in the past, and then she'll dematerialize or something, and she doesn't, and she wakes up and she doesn't know what's different, and she's the captain of the Discovery. There's been no Lorca, there's been no everything that she will remember, but they won't.
Okay,
and Michelle Yeoh will still be alive out there and can come back and do guest stars and shit. Good Michelle Yeoh.
Okay. That would. I mean,
I'm using the same foreknowledge. I don't know. It's the same batting swing. I mean, he's right. I'm on a hot streak. It's the same batting swing I'm using.
You're saying they're going to say none of this season happened,
except the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest possible.
It is the dumbest thing. So that's been your.
It's been my North Star through all of these predictions.
you've been George Costanzing this whole thing the whole time. Like, what's the worst thing I can do? It's like, all right.
And I think that's the dumbest thing, but she will have remembered. So she will have absorbed these lessons.
It'll matter to her.
Yes.
And that's why they can retcon all the spore drive and everything.
Guess what? Maybe Lorca does still come back. So you don't have to find some bullshit mycelial network thing. He just comes back looking for Michael Burnham because that was his fuck toy from before. And
they just do it. Okay, man. Fine. I don't know what to say to any of that anymore. It's like,
you've thought everything that I've predicted is dumb.
Yeah, I think you've gone crazy with dumbness now.
I'm saying this makes perfect sense.
Well, I think that
the more I think about
it, the time travel has been introduced. They did travel through time by 9 months. So the fact that they did it once means it could certainly happen again. So it's not likely, but it's possible.
I don't know, because then they have to use the mycelial network to go through time,
can't they just slingshot past the sun when they went and got the whales?
Yeah, they can do that too. Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I don't know. I can't say I'm on board with any of that, James.
Oh, I'm not on board with this. This is just what
I just.
I don't. This isn't my James's theory. They can redeem the season. That's not what this is.
No. Oh, I'm just saying. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think your predictions this time,
like the salmon to spawn. I'm always swimming upstream with these predictions.
The stream of dumb.
Yes.
The show cares so very little of its audience and thinks so much of itself.
No, I mean, I'm sure people are probably keying into the same things I loved about this episode.
Sure.
As Saru and which I'm on. Hey, that was great, and I want to see more of that. Now the big bad's dead.
My complaint we need to wrap this up. I don't need to complain about Saru.
We needed to wrap this up.
I can complain about Saru off air.
No, you got to complain about Saru. It's got to get in the podcast.
Oh shit!
Make it quick, because this is Saru's taken. This is Saru's victory lap. So we need your hot take.
Yeah,
we need your vinegar.
Yeah, we do need to.
Okay, real quick. Saru is
you don't buy Captain Saru.
Saru is the special man of the series.
Sure.
That has got the lamest special ability.
Sensing death. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's my complaint about Saru is that
they did cleverly reverse his special power by making him not predict death,
because I don't sense death.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they didn't die. So yeah, sure.
So
that's what I'm saying.
They made it not a negative power, but a positive power in this one. Have they ever used him on a mission like a divining rod? Like,
No,
which way?
that's what
like,
I'm saying. What if there's a banana peel on the floor of the cafeteria and his threat ganglia goes off, and then everybody just loses their shit because they don't know what the threat is?
Or there's an episode where they have to traverse a maze to get to the threat, and they go, is this way or this way? And he faces each way, and which way he shoots down his threat ganglia tells him where
It's a dumb ability. Guys, come on. Don't we all agree the ability to sense death is a loose ability? Like, it's
Yes.
not 100%. And
I agree. It's a little wishy-washy, whatever. I want to talk about this episode.
that happened in this episode.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was fine. Like, I loved like it didn't. I didn't roll my eyes at anything Saru did in this episode. I thought his pep talk was great. If we're accepting that he has his dumb ability, might as well use it.
If you're gonna give a rah-rah speech, I don't mind him using that as an excuse. I don't know, like if that's what it was, just to like get like, or maybe he was pushing.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't tell them that he could clamp them off real tight. Like,
Yeah.
like he was.
That's a good
He was doing some kegels
Yeah,
in his
he was
head.
doing
Right,
like
head
head
kegels.
kegels.
I'm sensing the fuck out of death, but I'm not going to tell these people about
I
it.
gotta shut. I'm gonna pinch that shit
pinching
off.
it off, man. So how awkward
All right.
will they
We gotta-
introduce? Well, we're done here. I always like to make one weird prediction about the next week's episode. Will Michelle?
You just did.
No, I made a big
spent
prediction,
20
but I'm
minutes
making a dumb
making
prediction
weird
now.
predictions.
Will Michelle Yao mention to Saru about how good his threat ganglia tastes?
Ooh.
Will she talk about eating
Yeah.
him? Will she mention that Burnham ate one too? And will that be like a weird?
Oh, by the way, yeah, he ate mirror. We had lovely. It was lovely having Mirror You for dinner the
Yes.
other night.
And then he has to live with knowing that Burnham has tasted Kelpian before.
Right.
All right. What are we done here? We don't do anything at the end anymore. We used to do like the
Yeah,
Orville or the Galaxy fight. We don't do either of those anymore. The War Without, Cornball and Sarek are back, and it seems like Michelle Yao is pitching them on a battle plan that they're receptive to. That is probably missile launchy. I think I saw missiles launch. It's
Yeah, I
a
think I
missile
did
launchy
too.
plan to fight the Klingons.
I'm all about her having a second career as a Tony Robbins of evil in the Prime Universe. All right. Wade, does Wade need to give us a Patreon and phone number information?
We definitely need to give out the phone number so you can yell at us about what you didn't like about this episode or what you loved about this episode.
I need
or what
you
you
to-
didn't like about what we said.
Or
James's
I need you guys
prediction
to
about
throw
the
lots
time
on my
loop.
prediction. I'm going hard on this one. I'm taking cash bets on it.
I'll touch base with you on Thursday to see how much I'm willing to.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you think. Give us a call 917-408-3898. That's our little hotline number. Send us an email at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. That's our other Star Trek podcast about Deep Space Nine, where we take a different tone a lot of times. It's pretty great. And yeah, do all that. If you want to
we
support
take a
us on
different tone
Patreon,
because Deep Space Nine's amazing.
yes, it's better. Yes, we all accept it's DS9 is great. We love it. That's why we decided to do podcasts, and that's how we stumbled into doing a Discovery podcast that we're not quite as fond of, apparently. Obviously, if you've listened to this, you know. Anyways, yeah. 917-408-3898. If you want to support us on Patreon for that other podcast we do with Rules of Acquisition and get access to our other stuff that we do, like our limited Dune series on Frank Herbert's Dune, Much Ado About Nothing, go check out our Patreon for that.
All right. Well, thanks again for listening to another episode of Discovery: A Home Companion. We hope you join us next week as we unpack another episode of Star Trek Discovery. For Wade, James, and myself, 3 to beam out.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast, Rules of Acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.